I am now a contributor for Trinity International, which is an organization that gives mentorship and Bible studies and a lot of resources for young conservatives and Christians who are isolated and alone on college campuses. And I think high school and middle school too, they do a lot of work with that. So I've written an article for them, which is entitled From One Student to Another, How to Deal with the Pressures of Being a Lone Conservative in a Liberal Classroom. And the reason I wrote this article is because in the years that I've been in politics, about 3 years, I've never actually seen anybody explain how to deal with those pressures, what the steps are, how to go forward with it. And as somebody who was the lone vocal conservative, or just me and one other student in a liberal classroom, I feel like I have a lot to share. So the first thing, and it's, if you see the article, which I'll link below, it has different sections. So the first section is really that you have to embrace the pressure as a young conservative. And what I mean by that is, if you're trying to be vocal and then you're still trying to not really be yourself in the moment, and you're still letting jokes slide about conservatives or about Christians, that's not really embracing the pressure. You have to embrace the pressure of needing to research, to back up your claims, to back up your debates, embrace the pressure of being put right on the spot in the middle of classrooms like I was because they were talking about something political and I was the only conservative voice. Embrace the day-to-day pressures of perhaps being isolated in that, or needing to get, mentorship or friends from other organizations because you might be alone in being a young conservative, especially during election years because of how nasty things get right now in America. The second thing that I would say is that you have to accept the price of being a young conservative in a liberal classroom and being vocal about it. And what I mean by that is, when I was in classrooms in high school, it was during the 2016 election, and I really realized that I had to accept the price of some people not wanting me to sit with them. I had to accept the price of teachers maybe grade docking a little bit, of them deciding that I didn't have the right perspective. I had to accept the pressures of people sending me nasty messages through social media. Before I had any type of this social media, I was just a private person with like a little Facebook account. So you have to accept the pressures that you have to accept the price that comes along with that. And that really is the impact it has on your social life, on your personal life, and even on your mental health, because reading nasty messages when you're not somebody who's putting themselves out there, when you're just saying your beliefs, it can be really horrible and it can hurt. So you have to go in accepting the pressure and accepting the price of the situation. And then third of all, and this is a really important point, you have to choose your battles. A lot of times in classroom debates, when there were other young conservatives, I would watch them sort of go in on every single topic. So whatever Trump had said that day, whatever was in the news that day. And what happened was they got kind of overwhelmed because they were not experts in everything, as no 16-year-old would be, or even in college. They were not experts in foreign policy, immigration, healthcare, and economy. They weren't experts in all those. Even though they may have been really well versed in foreign policy, that wasn't shining through. So the important thing to do as a young conservative in a liberal classroom, in college, middle school, high school, elementary school, is to choose what you're going to be debating, is to choose what you're going to assert yourself over. I would always assert myself with foreign policy. I wouldn't sit in a classroom and let people say to me, Obama was the greatest foreign policy president in history, because I knew that wasn't true because of the stories that were happening, because of the hostages that were being taken overseas, and the setup of foreign policy during his administration. So you have to choose your battles, and you have to understand that not debating a subject doesn't mean that you've approved it. It doesn't mean that you failed as a young conservative. It just means that you're choosing what you're going to go and defend. For a lot of you, I know that's been red flag gun laws. I've had a lot of young conservatives say that's the thing. They're just not willing to sit there and hear, made to be glamorous or made to be okay, because they know it isn't. So choose your battles. And then another component, and this is something that I learned in formal debating. I was a formal debater as well. I was the captain of my debate team in high school. One thing I learned is if you're honest about what you don't know in a debate, not only is it shocking to your counterparts in debate, it's also really refreshing. Because if I'm in a debate about the economy, and I did say this once, I said I don't know anything about NAFTA. I can't defend or not like NAFTA. If you're honest about what you don't know, it stops you from saying stupid things that might go viral, and that's just the world we live in. And it also makes it so that you really seem humble, and you really seem like you're just not willing to say crazy stuff. You're not willing to just peddle talking points. And that separates you from the pack of what people might think of as a young conservative. Young liberals could do that too. They could say, I don't know anything about the border crisis, so I'm not going to just say talking points that I've heard on MSNBC. It separates you from the pack of people who have really given people on both sides of the aisle a bad name because they look so contentious, and there's so much anger and so much fury in it, and there's so much absolute truth in it, because honestly there's very few absolute truths. And my final point, and this is a really important one I think for everybody, regardless of your age, is you have to live to fight another day. And what I mean by that is a debate is a debate. It's a back and forth of different ideas or positions on a topic or a series of topics. It's not me screaming at you. It's not you screaming at me. And I blame Ben Shapiro for this a little bit, because during his speaking tours in 2015, 2016, I think he made a lot of young conservatives think that unless you were being screamed at by crazy people or having things thrown at you or trying to get away from stuff or people are trying to attack you, that you weren't debating. A debate is supposed to have a level of decency in it. That's why there are Oxford debates. That's why there are debates at Harvard. There's supposed to be a level of decency and respect. So if you're in a debate where you're not feeling respected, where someone's screaming at you, where someone is not even just screaming at you, but calmly calling you horrible names, which is also bad. Don't think it's okay just because they're not screaming at you. You have the right to walk away, to live to fight another day, to not be sucked into defending points against people who you know are treating you badly. There has to be a level of mutual respect and debate. And once you walk away that first time from a contentious argument, it's not really a debate, you're showing other people, liberals, independents, conservatives, that they can as well. And for those young conservatives who are not really vocal, just a side point, this isn't in the article, but on a side point, I know that there are a lot of times where you can't be vocal about what you believe because you have to be thinking about college admissions or grade docking or something, or an internship. That's completely fine. If you need to just toe the line, do that. But make sure that somewhere else in your life, you're practicing standing up for your beliefs. You're practicing asserting yourself in situations, because you don't want to get into a professional setting and never have done that before and never have trained yourself to do that because you didn't do it in classrooms. So make sure that you're covering that blind spot a little bit. So thank you all for tuning in. Please retweet this, share this, and make sure that you follow me on Twitter if you like this, not Periscope, because Periscope is shutting down. I'm going to link my Trinity article below so that you can check it out. It has all of it written down. There's subsections. I encourage you to take it, to comment it, and to tell me what you think about it, because this is really the advice that I wish somebody had given me, like 6 years ago. I figured it out on my own, but it would have been nice if somebody had laid it out for me. So thank you, everyone. Please retweet this, share this, and check out the article I've linked below on my Twitter, and make sure to follow me on Twitter. Good night, everybody.